anger, and the occasional, you know what, we can make this work.
Like,
Being out of
Excuse
I'll tell
me.
you one thing right now,
Excuse
buddy.
me.
One thing you're gonna like. You're gonna learn to love it too.
What the hell are you talking about,
What's
dude?
going on? I'm gonna be the one wearing the pants in this one. Understand
Yeah,
that?
dude, you're
I'm trying to get that dough. Every day is another struggle. This is my life. So what if I can't say no? Just sit back.
What is up, y'all? We are back with another video on the channel. Today we are reacting to how MTV destroyed their network. Obviously MTV has been around for freaking forever, probably since like what, the early 80s or something like that. Maybe it might even be the 70s. Bitch, I don't know. I was only born in 93. Okay, I don't know how long MTV has been around. I just know it's probably been more than 30 years. More than likely it's been more than 30 years. So this should be a really interesting video to learn more about MTV. I only know so much because obviously I was born in 93. So I don't know how, I don't have that much like behind the scenes information on how MTV got started from, you know, where they were to where they are now. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, subscribe. And like the video so I can go up in the algorithm. Okay, you gotta see me more on your timeline, people. Like, for real. Stop playing. All right, let's get into it.
They played music videos 24/7. The 90s with The Real World, Beavis and Butthead, Yo MTV Raps. The 2000s with TRL, True Life, Jackass, Spring Break, Cribs. The 2010s with Jersey Shore and Teen Mom. Or sadly today with 24 hours straight of ridiculousness. MTV holds a special place in all of our hearts. They defined generations of youth culture, inspired and changed music forever. But as the years went on, they slowly lost their identity, struggled to maintain profitability, and failed to adapt to the rapid shifting media landscape. This is the amazing rise and sad, slow downfall of music television. Stay hydrated. This is the very first segment that ever aired on MTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
The rocket blasting off was a beautifully artistic way to introduce the network that would dominate popular culture for the next 20 to 30 years. This first broadcast, which was on August 1st, 1981, was only available in certain parts of New Jersey. As if it couldn't get any more artistic, the first song they ever telecasted was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. MTV would go on to play almost exclusively music videos 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 6 years straight. But even if it wasn't music videos, it was still 100% music-related programming. That's a lot of demand to keep up with. If only there was a little cheat code to making music production and songwriting more accessible and efficient. Luckily today, we have SongStarter. SongStarter provides high-quality, pre-produced beats with downloadable stems and MIDI royalty-free. You can edit and rearrange these elements, reducing the pressure of creating a song from scratch. Go to the catalog section to hear some beats. Paid up to $250 if approved by SongStarter.
Let's mute this, shall we? Cause
some general music news, but this only took up a few minutes of airtime.
And behold, a new concept is born. The best of TV combined with the best of radio.
The first shows on MTV were still 100% music focused. Profiles in Rock, Fast Forward, Heavy Metal Mania, The Cutting Edge. These were programs dedicated to documenting and discussing music rather than just watching music videos. MTV hosted the first annual Video Music Award show in 1984, which would bring even more relevance and importance to the music video in itself. I'm very confident in saying that music videos are still extremely important today and that they wouldn't be what they are without MTV's vision. In 1986, they broadcasted the first annual spring break coverage. College kids partying down in Florida had been a cultural norm for Americans since the 1930s, but in 1985, all hell broke loose when 370,000 kids showed up to Fort Lauderdale, which led to 2,500 reported arrests. MTV's coverage over the years made kids all over the world yearn for the day that they could visit Florida and party on the beach for a week. Unfortunately, MTV wasn't very profitable as a 100% music-based network. They did not have to pay to play these music videos, which was good, but they also did not get paid by record labels to play them. So the only way they could make money was by selling ad spots, which is essentially the backbone of how TV shows and now content creators make money. As ubiquitous and all-encompassing music is, music content is actually very niche. So getting people to watch MTV for long periods of time was difficult. And obviously the more people watching, the more advertisers are willing to spend, meaning the more money you're gonna make. 100% of you watching this like music. A significantly smaller percentage of you like watching music content, at least consistently. You click over to MTV, a song is playing that you like, you stay and watch. The moment they play a song you don't like, you click off. Let's say they're doing a biography on a band you don't like or that you don't know. Most of you click off. Chances are you'd rather spend your time learning about a band you do like. So all of us like music, but actually only a small group of very open-minded people like watching, learning about, and listening to music that we either don't know or are unsure if we like or not. Granted, there was no other music channel back in the 80s, so maybe people were a bit more complacent. But MTV still prioritized top 20s hits and repeated the same popular songs you were hearing on the radio. It was a safe way to keep people's attention, but angered the niche community of people who wanted fresh music content. The financial struggle reached a tipping point, and it was time for them to pivot before the whole network collapsed. From 1987 to 1996, MTV debuted 39 non-music related shows and 51 music-related shows, cutting the network in half basically, with only 56% music content. The other percentage represents shows where it's kind of music-related, but mostly not, so yeah. Remote Control, December 7th, 1987, was a game show marking the first ever non-music show aired on music television. Ratings were at an all-time low, but the game show boosted their numbers by a lot. Remote Control was a Jeopardy-style show where contestants picked a general category and had to answer trivia questions about that category. The theme was centered around pop culture, music, and movies, and the prizes were music-centered as well, so it didn't seem like it was out of place on MTV. From here, the network added animated series to their lineup of programs. Stevie and Zoya were roughly 60-second shorts that would air randomly during commercial breaks about two teens that thwart supervillains' plots. Liquid Television, a more notable animated series, would air June 2nd, 1991. It was a compilation of animated shorts by independent artists. Beavis and Butthead was first featured here and would go on to receive its own very successful spin-off. The shorts were often strange but comical. For example, a parody of melodramatic soap operas but with actual soap.
You're so transparent. I know you still want me.
You're wrong.
Look me in the eyes and say that.
You don't have eyes.
Feisty, aren't you?
The major cultural change would come in 1992 with The Real World. MTV took 7 strangers all in their 20s and put them in a New York City apartment to live together for a few months. It was the first unscripted reality show on television. It was a massive success. Also, side note,
Can we talk about how The Real World opened doors for all of reality television? Because I don't know if there have been other reality shows on different networks. Do you know what I mean? But like, I never hear about that. I always hear about The Real World being like the main factor, and now why reality television is just so it's not as relevant as it was 10 years ago, because I feel like it was extremely relevant, like with the surgence of like Flavor of Love and stuff like that. But I felt like The Real World definitely opened up doors for reality television, and why it's like made so much money, and also why it's toxic. Because The Real World, I never seen like the first and like second or third season or anything like that of like The Real World, so I really don't know too much about it. I've only seen later like clips of certain things that happen on The Real World in like 2010 or 11 and shit like that. But I just feel like it's also toxic, as well as it opening up doors for all of these new shows and stuff like that, like the Love and Hip Hops and shit, and the Atlanta Housewives and all of that. To me, all of the toxicity, all of the, you know, strangers living in a house and them coming together, them throwing parties, them having these certain type of scenes where everything is just like drama filled, all that shit stems from the real world. So that's crazy, man.
Emily went back and watched this first season and is very good. I recommend it. The cast was very well chosen, a good mix of people who would never ordinarily live together. These 7 strangers became a representation of what the 90s youth was like, talking social issues, racism, gender roles, sex. MTV gave a platform to the people of the Black, Latino, LGBTQ communities who were underrepresented in mainstream media at the time. Norman was even the first openly bisexual man on television. The show was raw and real, and you could feel it when you watched it. The term reality television comes from the real world. MTV literally invented reality TV, which we all know ended up becoming more important than their origins as.
See, but like, and that's the crazy part about it, right? Because I feel like back in the gap, when this first came on, it was more natural. Things weren't so contrived. They're not going to try to put one person in a scene that don't get along with the other person. They both in the same scene. Put them together, a drink is thrown. Like it was different to me. Like it seemed more natural. It seemed like it flowed a lot more. Just different, man. Times have changed, I'll tell you that.
The music network. One thing a lot of people don't give MTV credit for is that they continuously tried to produce music-related shows. As you can see, there's an extensive list of shows. Most of these only ran for a year or less for one simple reason: people didn't watch them. Why? We talked about it before. Everyone likes music, but music content is niche. It's easy to skip. I'm sure if MTV had music-related shows that were popular and profitable, they would have stuck with them. Well, they did actually have a couple. Yo MTV Raps, running from 1980.
And then they hit me with an ad. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yeah, man. It's crazy how times that... I'm sorry, yawning. It's crazy how times have just completely changed and everything is just so different now as far as reality TV goes. And even now, reality TV has declined so much. So much. It's not what it was 10 years ago at all. There was like a surgence of a whole bunch of reality shows that came in, especially after Flavor of Love. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it.
1988 to 1995. This was the first hip-hop music show on the network. The show was 2 hours long and would feature rap videos, interviews with rap stars, and live in-studio performances. Many iconic groups and artists would be able to tell their stories and show the real culture of rap music from the perspective of the artists who created it. The notorious B.I.G. explained how he met Diddy.
My man Matty C got with Puff, and Puff said he wanted to do something new for Uptown. And he heard the little garbage demo, you know.
No, it was
but he just knew that he just told me that he knew I could rap.
Tupac explained how he got into music.
Shock was like, come on the road. You could be my roadie, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be glamorous, but you'll be working, you'll be meeting people.
The Wu-Tang Clan performed Cream live. It was a hip-hop head's paradise and helped rap music become accepted as a mainstream genre. The Grunt Club, and maybe even learn a few new dance moves from the comfort of your living room. They did have some music-related hit shows, but it's not like the other shows they put on the network at the time were so left field that they didn't contribute to the musical zeitgeist at all. Beavis and Butthead is an iconic cartoon that was about 2 stoners who watched music videos on their couch, while Celebrity Deathmatch was about celebrities, a lot of the times musicians, fighting to the death. MTV was creating culture. However, some of their audience still wanted just music, which they were providing with programs like the Top 20 Video Countdown and MTV Unplugged, but it wasn't enough. So in 1996, on their 15th anniversary, they launched M2, later becoming MTV2, which was them going back to their origins of just playing music videos 24/7. If you only wanted music, you could go over to their second channel and consume just that, which is basically what I did with my second YouTube channel. It's all music-related content. MTV2 would play an hour-long, day-long, sometimes even one weekend-long segment dedicated to just one band. Music videos from all different kinds of artists and all genres. They even attempted to play every music video in their catalog in alphabetical order. To no surprise, MTV2 was not a huge hit. Music fans love to point the finger at MTV and blame them for broadcasting non-music shows, but failed to tune in when the network created something music-related. Or maybe it was just the casuals that didn't tune in. So the actual music fans represented such a small percentage of MTV's viewership that it wasn't enough to keep the network profitable. From 1997 to 2008, MTV debuted 151 non-music related shows and 56 music related shows. Now only 25% of the network was music content. At the turn of the century, MTV played 36.5% fewer music videos. MTV President Van Toffler stated, "Clearly, the novelty of just showing music videos has worn off. It's required us to reinvent ourselves to a contemporary audience." Can we really blame MTV, which at the end of the day is just a business, for simply listening to the data and investing into the content that their audience is watching? Music is deeply rooted in all aspects of pop culture. It was becoming evident that people would rather listen to music in their headphones, on their way to work and school, or at a party, not on TV. However,
what I want to say real quick is that, like, I don't want to talk over it because I know a lot of people be complaining and talking about, girl, you're talking over it, I can't hear. So you're getting my reaction, so I'm going to react to it. I just feel as though, like, back in the gap when I was growing up, right? I didn't watch a lot of videos on MTV. Like, it wasn't a lot at the time. Like, you had some that they would show, but for the most part, it wasn't a whole bunch. So if you had, like, on demand and you had, like, cable content, you would know that we had, like, MTV Jams and not MTV Jams. Is it MTV Jams? It might be, but it was, like, on the upper channels. It was MTV Jams, but it wasn't on MTV. But it was, like, channel fucking 135, where literally they would just show you nothing but videos. Old videos, nostalgic videos, classic videos, new videos, all types of shit. And it would be multiple channels that would be in those upper tier, like 100 numbers, that would constantly show videos from all years. Mostly like the 90s and the 2000s for the most part. They would have a couple throwbacks that would show like 80s or whatever, but for the most part it would be like the 2000s and 90s. And they would just show all types of videos. And they would have the rock channel, the R&B channel, the hip hop channel, pop channel, so on and so forth. But that's where I got most of my musical content from. I think it's really crazy that they literally just started putting on a whole bunch of shows. And again, I think that that stems from them seeing the success of the Real World and how they were like, we can make profits. We can make a lot of profit off of the Real World and turn it into something like real crazy. And I think that they seen that and they were like, okay, we're going to continue to do this. Like, we're not making a lot of profit from music videos, so we're going to dim that down. We're going to dial that back. And then we're going to add on more shows to make up for the profit that we're missing with music videos. Same, man.
We're about to
Completely
enter in what
insane.
my generation would argue as the best MTV era. TRL aired September of 1998. The 10 most requested music videos of the day, as voted by viewers via phone and later the internet, would be played in a top 10 style. Celebrity guests would also make appearances and have short informal interviews with the host, Carson Daly. The energy was always high on TRL due to it being broadcasted live in front of a studio audience. You could hear the cheers of the crowd as the next celebrity guest was introduced. The studio was located in Times Square. Large crowds would gather outside the studio hoping to catch a glimpse of their favorite artists. Music industry, TRL is certainly maybe the most important thing at the moment for these top 10 artists. The Backstreet Boys were at their peak in the early years of TRL. They made an appearance May 18th, 1999 to promote their new album Millennium, which was released that day. The album would go on to be certified 13 times platinum. We can't accredit this success to TRL entirely, but it certainly helped. So many fans showed up outside the TRL studio during their appearance that the NYPD were forced to shut down the roads in Times Square, one of the world's busiest intersections. A number of other culturally iconic moments would happen on TRL over the next couple of years. May 2000, Eminem would host his own version of TRL dubbed MTV, where he referred to music videos from the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Britney Spears as trash.
Yesterday on TRL, we saw Britney Spears, NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys.
Wait, what? As trash?
And rather than the typical fan voted, as well as parodying popular MTV shows, making fun of the TRL VJs, and dissing popular musicians. 2002, Beyonce and Jay-Z would seemingly make their first public debut as a couple, performing "03 Bonnie and Clyde." 2003, P. Diddy and Britney Spears made an appearance where Diddy ran on a treadmill for an hour in preparation for the New York City Marathon, while Britney dabbed the sweat from his forehead with a towel. TRL in the early 2000s was a cultural moment that I don't think could be recreated. The early 2000s was also booming with iconic and creative MTV shows. The Tom Green Show, Boiling Points, Jackass, Viva La Bam, Wild Boys, Punk'd, Making the Band, True Life, Date My Mom, Room Raiders, Next, Parental Control, High School Stories, My Super Sweet 16,
Oh my
Pimp My Ride, The
God.
Andy Milonakis Show, Made, Robin Big, Cribs, and so many more.
So
MTV was
nostalgic.
absolutely crushing it with ideas. It was these shows that would be the foundation for content creators on YouTube who still to this day are basically making the 2022 version of an old MTV show. The shows that weren't about music, I will admit, were drifting further and further away from having any music relevance. However, they still had shows like Run's House, which was a reality show about Run DMC, his life, keeping viewers in touch with hip-hop culture, The Osbournes, which followed Ozzy Osbourne, his family, heavy metal culture, Meet the Barkers, which followed Travis Barker, punk emo culture, Ashley Simpson Show, pop music culture. A lot of these shows were unique, they were weird, very cringy, and most of them didn't age well. But they took elements of different music cultures and brought them together to one network. You could even argue that the most diverse time for popular music in general was in the early 2000s. MTV was the entertainment industry and was this beautifully chaotic representation of so many different kinds of personalities and cultures. The generation before it hated it, of course, because they remembered MTV as just music videos and the... That shit was boring. Music has always been about personality, about style. It's more than just melodies and instruments. MTV may have been playing a small percentage of music on television, but they defined a generation of musical artists, how they act, how they dress, how they relate to the youth, all by giving them a platform to millions of global viewers every day. They were doing so great with non-music related stuff that they almost gave up entirely. From 2008 to 2016, MTV debuted 101 non-music related shows and 5 music related shows. Now only 5% of the network was music content. Music videos were featured on MTV up to 8 hours per day in 2000. The year 2008 saw an average of just 3 hours of music videos per day. TRL's relevance dwindled and the ratings were at an all-time low. Some people say it's because of Carson Daly leaving, but it's tough to really pinpoint why. Some things just become less cool over time. The kids who used to stand out in Times Square for 3 hours to get a glimpse of the back of Justin Timberlake's head grew up. They are now in crippling college debt and working in a cubicle hating their lives. While kids like me were hooked on the Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network. In 2008, they officially canceled TRL with a special 3-hour episode. On the non-music front, MTV still had popular shows. In fact, they were the only shows keeping the cash flowing for the network. Robin Big, Fantasy Factory, Nitro Circus, America's Best Dance Crew, Silent Library, Bully Beatdown, The Hills, My Super Sweet 16,
Silent
Made,
Library.
Jersey Shore, Teen Mom. The great social media emergence was happening, and truthfully, TV in general was struggling. Just before everyone jumped ship, MTV had a couple shows with record-breaking numbers. Jersey Shore aired December 3rd, 2009 to 1.38 million viewers. 8 housemates would live together at a vacation home in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, which is also where my first job was. The show would often focus on the cast going out to clubs, getting way too drunk, the occasional fight. An instant hit, but after the first season, drew huge viewership. Season 2 premiered to 5.25 million viewers, and by season 3, 8.4 million viewers turned in for the premiere, making it MTV's highest viewed telecast ever. It would break that record again with 8.87 million viewers for season 3, episode 4. Throughout the 6 seasons, they would average about 5.8 million viewers across the whole series. 4 of the cast members would go on to receive their own spin-off series on MTV. And the anonymous letter to Sammy would go on to become one of the best memes ever. Sam, the first night at bed when you left, Ron made out with 2 girls and put his head between a cocktail waitress's breasts. Also was grinding with multiple fat women. Teen Mom. December 8th, 2009 aired to 2.1 million viewers. This would follow the lives of several young mothers navigating the hardships of being a teen mom, with a focus on their complicated family and romantic relationships. The series would grow to pull in 5.6 million viewers for the finale of the 2nd season. Teen Mom would actually have a positive impact on the youth. MTV's 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom led to a 5.7% reduction in teen births. This series would also endure the test of time, with its original series renamed Teen Mom OG and its many spin-offs still being aired on the network till this day. Catfish is another program that since its first episode in 2012 is still being shown on the network today. This series focuses on the deception of individuals making fake profiles on social media sites and essentially lying to become romantically involved with an unsuspecting victim. The producers would then set up a meeting between the catfish and the victim, who had never met in real life previously. This would often lead to great disappointment because the catfish was not who they presented themselves to be online. They would look entirely different, not live the lifestyle they described, and sometimes not even be the sex they had presented as.
Obviously, you're not a man.
Obviously.
0.4 million viewers. Beyonce famously announced that she was pregnant with her first child during the awards. This announcement would break the record at the time for the most tweets per second recorded for a single event, with 8,868 tweets per second. From a numbers standpoint, everything seemed all good with MTV. VMAs were booming, the reality shows were at an all-time high, but MTV lost their identity. In 2010, they dropped the music television branding, so now MTV didn't actually stand for anything. Before, the network appealed to music listeners. Sure, the reality shows brought in the dollars, but the music videos and the music shows kept that reminder that we are a music-based network that also dips into other areas of pop culture. After 2010, it was the opposite. They only appealed to a mainstream pop culture audience and didn't have any music-related stuff to fall back on, which is all good, but keeps this insane amount of pressure for the network to
That's interesting. This video was really, really interesting. And it had a lot of education in it that I didn't know and that I wasn't aware of. I don't watch cable TV anymore. Like, I don't even remember the last time I watched cable TV, but the last time that I did, I definitely would go through the channels, like that guide channel. I think it's either the guide channel or where you're able to see multiple stations and you can just kind of pick whatever one you want. When I would see MTV, I would see ridiculousness. I would see just like hours and hours of ridiculousness. Teen Mom, Jersey Shore, it was like, it was dry. Like it was like it was dry. There was no creativeness. There was nothing new. It just was screaming unoriginal. And they would just play the same show for like half of the day. And it's so unfortunate because MTV started really awesomely how it started out. And now we've come to the point where we're just playing the same show all day. That's crazy, bro. This was a really, really good, thought out, well put together video that I really, really enjoyed. And I hope you guys made it through the entire video. I know it was kind of long, but I really, really wanted to react to this video. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I tell you guys every single video. I'm dropping videos all week. All week. So turn on the post notifications. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Done it all, been through it all. I walked over the motherfucking fire with sandals. Gonna burn your feet eventually.